this webinar at all. I think that you know a lot, and I think you know more than this. And I hope that together we can do a very nice revision time. Okay, it's always nice to listen again. Some new things may strike us. So that was what I was trying to do when I planned this webinar. So I don't want it to be too boring. I don't want it to be a monologue. Please keep chatting. Send in your questions, your thoughts, your ideas, and let's make it interactive so that you don't have to listen to my voice for the next 2 hours continuously. Okay. I also don't want to get too theoretical because I know that you can go online and get as much theory as possible, right? You can just get the theory from anywhere. So I'm going to strictly avoid too many definitions. I've steered clear of statistics. Uh, I'm not going to give you, too much theory. Okay. What I would like you to do is just visualize these children as I'm speaking, because the idea is that we are going to get clearer and clearer on who are our kids. That's the whole aim and the whole idea. Sometimes when you read or study, uh, you might not get such a clear picture. Okay, so often too much of theory is not so beneficial either. I'm absolutely ready to send you loads of theory. That is not an issue at all. For today, I just want you to try to relate to the children that I'm going to describe to you. Okay, so I don't know the background of the audience that I'm speaking to, but I am going to span my presentation across all kinds of an audience. Okay, so I'm hoping that it will benefit parents who would like to know, where does my child fit? What are these problems I'm having with my child? I hope it would help teachers who are wondering, how do we sort out kids in this classroom? How do we make out who is who? I'm also hoping that from a professional point of view, we zone in a bit more. Okay, I hope I can do that for you. Um, in between, you're absolutely free to ask me questions, to ask me for an example, to share a thought. So I would really welcome that. So we can move on, and let's see how steadily we can cover this. Yeah, fine. So when we begin, let's begin with 3 buckets. Okay, we have to fit a whole lot of kids into this. We have to divide them into eliminate. Some of them we will consider, and finally we are going to choose. Fine. So you have to have this kind of an approach. It is not that a random approach that you can adopt. When you enter the classroom, you're going to just have too many kids. You're not going to be able to sort them efficiently unless you have a process. So I'm going to lead you through this process, and I hope by the end of it, you will have a clear understanding of how to begin the process in your own way. So we have 3 buckets, and we have eliminate, we have consider, and we have choose. I'm going to start with eliminate. So let's remove the children who are definitely not in our interest of learning disabilities. Okay, yeah.
Shall I next?
Yeah. Fine. So we are definitely going to eliminate all of these children. We are going to eliminate kids who have gone through trauma. We are going to eliminate kids who have health problems. We are going to eliminate kids who have language problems, who have emotional problems, who have all kinds of deficits. So you're going to ask me who is left. Nobody is left. You might think, listen, everybody has all these issues. And if you're going to remove all these kids, who's left? Yeah, so that is the $1,000,000 question. Our LD kids are very, very special. They don't fit into any of these categories. Okay. Today I'm going to give you a slight highlight on brain, the functioning of the brain. At regular points, I'm going to bring it to your mind that you have to keep in mind that we are talking about the brain functions. That is the point today that I want to emphasize for you. Okay, so we have been crying hoarse for the last couple of decades about the children with learning disabilities. We have tried from a social perspective, we have tried from an academic perspective, we've tried from emotional perspective, and yet we are not having a fair enough response. Okay, people are still not accepting this category. So today I'm going to tell you beyond doubt that it is brain related. It is brain related. So therefore your whole perspective has to change. Your whole approach has to change. It cannot be any more a casual approach. Okay. It cannot be any more this first approach. Oh, child has gone through trauma. Child has got learning problem now. No. Or, the child is very upset right now. So the child, no, no. Okay, if you look on the right, you will see the images of the brains. The left side is the normal brain, the right side is the brain that has undergone some disorder. If you look, you can see the effect. Can you see the amount of change that has happened? Some functions are not working and some functions are overworking, and this is very, very serious because it is going to affect every function that you do. It is going to, starting from your speech down to your writing, it is going to show an effect. This is very, very important to consider. Okay, next slide. When we talk about trauma, we have to eliminate. We are talking now elimination. Remember that. We are going to remove every child who has had a recent trauma of any sort, or a trauma of the past, or an ongoing trauma, perhaps a death in the family, perhaps an accident. Perhaps they've shifted from one city to another. We might not give that importance, but it causes a lot of trauma when you uproot the child from a familiar, secure situation and place them in an unknown situation. There could be some family relationship problems, a dysfunctional kind of a family. Okay, so you might say, why not we consider children like this? Because very often such children have learning problems. Okay, so I want to take you to the box right on top. Trauma causes chaos in our brain and causes an emotional as well as a cognitive concussion. That is the impact. It is not that child will adjust, child will be fine, let us give some tuition. No, the what happens to the brain is equivalent to a concussion. Some nerves are affected, some synaptic connections are affected, some chemical imbalance happens, and it causes a lot of trouble. We are not considering these children. Okay, we will give them some very special treatment, of course, but they are not in our category. Coming down, do you know why? Coming down to the next box, there are parts of the brain under stress, they cannot operate. Look at this. The Look at the right side. The right side is when it is under stress, it becomes very weak. And look at the left side. It is in complete control of the entire brain. The cortex is able to control every thought, every reaction, every idea, every process. But when it is stressed, it just becomes tight and it stops functioning and it can't proceed. That is why we say that these children are not children with learning problems. Okay. Yeah. Next slide. We are going to eliminate children with all kinds of health problems, all physical problems. Anybody who says the child is having a health issue, straight away that goes into the elimination bucket. Okay. So what kind of health issues would you face? You will find kids coming with some genetic conditions, some chromosomal conditions like Down syndrome. Uh, you might think that they are quite educable. True, they are educable, but the program for them will be very, very different. That's why we have to separate them. You might have children coming in with though they were normal, they have undergone the polio virus and they may be now using a crutch, unable to walk, a weak hand, or they might have some other kind of a disorder like a hearing disorder where they use a hearing aid. It might be deteriorating conditions, like muscular dystrophy. And you might tell yourself, Okay, child is a bit wobbly physically, but the child is reading very well. Okay, let's give the child remediation. No, 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 it does not work like that. Look at that box down. Okay, sooner or later, all these three parts are going to get affected in a very gradual manner. Okay, these are the main parts which control your memory, your learning, your thinking, all the cognitive parts. Therefore, your program is not going to be effective over the long term period. That's why we cannot take children with health problems. We will not be doing them a service. Okay, we have to find out what is the correct way of teaching those children. That is why I say we have to eliminate these children. There are kids who are constantly absent, constantly absent. In a month, after month, they're absent. Their marks will also go down. They are also not to be considered. Okay. And then there are children with ongoing conditions who have serious sicknesses. And when they are fine, they come suddenly, then for a month, they may not come. Even though they are bright and even though their marks sometimes are uneven, even though they strike you as a child with learning problems, they do not have learning problems. Okay. They have a serious medical condition. Okay. And look at the top box. When you are sick, you know what happens? Everything changes. The way you process input changes. So everything changes. The way you see, the way you smell, the way you hear, the way you process. You know how it is. When we are sick, we just can't, our brains don't function that well. We're so groggy and we're not sharp and we're not up to the mark. So you know, the more sick you are, the more your perceptual deficits will surface. Okay, next. Okay, sometimes we have children who have studied in the mother tongue for first half, primary. Then they shift to English. So we know that the reason the child is not doing well is because the child has now switched from mother tongue to some other language, or the medium of instruction is not compatible. As you know, English is a irregular language, and as you know, our Indian languages are phonic languages. They are consistent, phonetically consistent. So it's very difficult to come to into a language where there are so many silent letters, so many irregular sounds. Also, the child may have shifted north to south, now south to north, north to east. Sudden change in language. We are not going to consider these kids either. Okay, why? Because if you can see on the right box, academic proficiency includes your language as skills as well as your self efficacy. It includes language. Okay, so if your language is not strong, your academics will get affected. This is very difficult for people to understand. People think that, so what if the child is poor in the language? So what if the child doesn't talk? And the child can write. Can't you make the child write? No, we are not going to consider children with a language problem. If your child is having a problem with the languages, that child does not, we cannot call your child learning disabled because of that. Okay. And see on the left also, when you think of school, language and school, it is directly connected first to your social proficiency and also to your academic proficiency equally. Okay, so comfortability with language is very, very important in school. So children do get very, very badly affected when they cannot communicate, cannot understand a joke, cannot participate. What more for studies? Okay? They will not be able to follow what is happening in the class. So we'll remove language issues also. Next. Okay, so this is a problem a lot of everybody is facing. All the classrooms have kids with lot of emotional issues. As they grow, the issues are increasing and very, very tough. Now, before they used to say the age for preteen was 11 and 12. Now that age has been forwarded to 9. Okay, 9 to 11. So we are having to face kids with emotional problems on a very regular basis. Who are these kids? Kids who have a lot of mood swings, a lot of issues, throat tantrums. Um, uh, it might pass saying, "Oh, childhood. Oh, always been like this. Oh, only child." But it is it is a problem. It has to be addressed. It's not going to go away on its own. Okay, this is the thing that we need parents to understand and new teachers to understand. When a child comes in with emotional issues, the issues have to be addressed separately. It is not that if you teach the child well or and that the child is doing well, that these things will decrease. Okay, aggression, low self-esteem, all these kind of things, self-harm, all these kind of things are happening nowadays. And if you look at the box down, you will see why we are not going to accept such children, because there is some imbalance. When you get stressed, you lose your balance, and uh, there are certain levels of some crucial hormones. All this goes haywire. And then you see what happens. It affects. What does it affect? You can see that little box on the left. Attention, perception, memory, learning, reading, word finding. This is an important link you have to keep in mind. Okay. We are done with the days of trying to find a different school, trying to find a different teacher, husband blaming the wife blaming the husband. No, we are done with all that. Okay, we know very clearly that when the child is under stress, the child will not be able to study. The child will not be able to do well. So we are not going to call those children into the resource room. No, we are not going to do that because they need a different kind of a help. Okay, so we are going to remove children who have all kinds of emotional problems. Okay, next. Okay, coming to the child who has global deficits. What does this mean? That look at the box on top. The child has problem with everything. Everything. Math, reading, spelling, short attention span, cannot think, cannot write. Everything is an issue. Okay, look at the points on your left. Low response in all areas. You have to observe very carefully and you can pick out these kids. They're quite fast. Um, they're quite passive and they're quite dull, and you have to motivate them so much to get a response, and they take so long to do everything. Okay, so that's something that you have to observe. Is the child taking a long time to do everything? That is a very good clue to tell you that the deficits are all across all areas, and they seem basically disinterested. So whatever you say, come, let's read a nice book, or would you like to play a game, or yesterday you enjoyed the story, shall I tell you again, or what movie did you? Whatever you try, the response is very. There's no expression on the face, and it is so difficult to get them to respond. Okay, or they're a bit distracted, or they lose interest after a while. So look at the box down. Slow learners are students who learn more slowly than their peers, yet they do not have a disability requiring special education. Okay, so this is something we must be very clear about. Children who learn slowly at a slow pace, perhaps a lesser quantity, they do not require special education. What do they require? That's a different topic altogether. But in one sentence, I can tell you that they need everything to be given in a smaller way, a small portion, a lesser quantity, a longer time. It needs to be divided. It needs to be spaced out. That is a different thing altogether. Okay, uh, that approach is something that you will, once you understand who is who, you can suit the program for each child. For now, we are going to remove these children who are failing in all the subjects, failing all the time, dull, uninterested, and seemingly not able to pick up. Okay, next. Okay, so we have covered this. Okay, this is we have just gone through all these things. Look at it and see if you can observe all these points. If you can perhaps place a picture of these children, and you might be able to say, yeah, I have met these kids with trauma. Yes, I have seen kids with physical problems. Oh yes, this child with a language issue is a common issue. Emotional problem. Okay, I didn't know that it is not learning disability. Global deficits. That's quite a few kids we have seen looking like that. Fine. So if you can start placing children in this bucket, then you're good. You know, if you can eliminate, you're really on good ground. Fine. So I think if you go by these points, you can straight away eliminate those who are definitely not having learning problems. Parents may need to look at this closely and ask yourself in which bracket your child fits, how many of these points match with your child, and like I said, each requires a special approach. So you need to find people who are trained to work with children of each of these categories. Okay, so that's important. We can't do it. We can't do it all. We can't look after everybody equally and hope to get the same results. So it's something that we need to give value for. Okay, the point that we have to find the correct person to do the correct thing. Okay, next. Okay, done. So we are done with this. We know now trauma out, health problems out, language out, emotional problems out, global deficit out. Okay, so that's a lot of clear cut issues. These are very clear cut. You can just ask, you can hold this small checklist in front of you and look at your class. You straight away you will find out. Okay, this child falls in this category, that child that category. Rest are not falling in these categories at all. Okay, fine. So these kids are not our LD kids. Let's see now who we can consider next. So we're done with the elimination. Now we're going to go into this next bucket of the kids who we can consider. You know, when you're going to have a function, a wedding, and you have a cap on the number, and you have to choose your guests, then you'll make a list like this. You will say, these are people, no way, out. I am not inviting them. Then you'll have this big bucket. Shall we not? How to decide? Maybe, yeah. So these kids are this bucket. They seem like kids with learning problems, but are they really? And how do we know? Okay, next slide. Okay, so in your classroom, out of everybody, there is a big portion of kids who will learn differently. Okay, see, there is a difference between learning disability, learning disorder, learning difficulty, and learning difference. So there is a bunch of kids who need a different way of being taught. Okay, they are not children with learning disabilities. You might have to have a kind of what should we say, a scaffolding approach maybe in your classroom, so that all the children have information, because each one may need that much and not more, but that doesn't make them learning disabled. Okay, there's a very small percentage of kids who fit in this learning disability uh, bucket. Next. So who are these kids? Okay, now these are not kids with LD. They are the question mark. Okay, so these are the kids. Now remember, we have eliminated those kids. We have eliminated all those excesses, very sick, very troubled, very, very poor in academic performance. Okay. Now, in between group is there. Who are they? They have some problems with mild behavior. They have behavior problems. We have to check their activity level. Let's see if they're overactive or underactive. And we'll just consider their academic performance because they are borderline. It's hard to make out right now what is the issue. Okay, next slide. Fine. So coming to academic performance, it's very, very important to understand that we must know that there is a limit to which we can push children. Okay, and everybody belongs within their limits. We have to accept those limits and respect those limits. So as you can see, if you look at this graph, you will see that the slow learners are down all the time. Okay, so they are down no matter when, whether it is in the beginning of the term or mid-semester, end of the term, even after an entire year of teaching, they are still down. And the average learners pick up very fast. They pick up very fast. And the fast learners are, first of all, way ahead. They don't need much teaching. They just keep going steadily. Fine. So now these kids who are slow learners or weak learners, we have to recognize them. Who are they? They fail most of the time. They are failing in all the subjects most of the time. And their notes may be a mess. Sometimes their notes are very organized. Looking at the notebook, you'll never guess. This child is failing, you might say, because they have neat handwriting. Why? Because they have neat handwriting and they are quiet and they copy everything perfectly. Okay. But when you actually check, they don't understand anything and they're just struggling to mug up. So, notes copying you have to check. Low comprehension. And there's a slow pace for everything. These are the slow learners. Okay. So, this is a one category. Academic performance. If they are failing consistently, most of the time, just check if their how their written work is, check their comprehension, and check their pace of doing things. If it is falling into all these categories, okay, you can be clear that they are not children with learning problems. Next. Okay, check their activity level. Okay, parents, new teachers, um, do not excuse away all these things. Okay, it's very difficult for us to convince you that these are very serious issues. It is almost impossible for us to convince parents that becoming easily distracted is a very serious issue. Having talking excessively is a problem. Um any of these points, pick out any of these points from left to right. It might seem very trivial. It might seem very trivial to a parent. A parent might say, you know what, everybody's like this is normal, I was like this. But today we are telling you that this is only a tip of the iceberg. Today we want to bring you to this point of seriously realizing that all these points are going to build up. They are not going to go away. They are not going to subside on their own. No, they are going to stay, they're going to build up, and they are going to affect the academics. That is why we are concerned about it. So what are the points you are going to keep in mind? That green oval that you see. Is there low attention? Is there overactivity? Is the child too dull and not interested in even moving about? These are all signs that there is a problem. And if it fits with others, it might be a learning problem. If it is on its own, these issues, then it is not a learning problem. So this thing you need to keep in mind when you observe all these points, Okay, next slide. Okay, when you come to behavior, it's very important to understand all these 3 points that I have listed. First is that learning disabilities may cause secondary issues in behavior. It may, yes. So if you have a child with a behavioral problem, of course, we want to check if the child has learning problems also. It may be a secondary issue. Secondly, the behavioral problems can be comorbid with the learning disabilities. It may always be, hand in hand. It's not that it's a secondary issue. Okay, when it is a secondary issue, it subsides, we can control it, it goes away. But when it is comorbid with learning disabilities, that means that we are going to have issues. We are going to have to plan a program that addresses it. Okay, our goals have to include behavioral problems. Third, behavioral problems can exist without learning disorders. Okay, in which case we hand them over to somebody else. Okay, we will not teach children who are simply disrupting the classroom, so you send them to the resource room. So you put them with a bunch of kids who are, having a small circle, who are doing their remedial work, so that the day passes happily. No, behavioral problems are a bracket on their own, and they have to be investigated further. So that is the important thing to understand. Look at the box on the left. I'm not interested in the blue part. I want you to see secondary characteristics. Poor social skills, inattention, hyperactivity, behavioral problems. Okay, so when you have any of these issues, it will cause the blue box. Okay, so you could have what is happening on the left. If you look at the brown box, can you see the brain? Okay, can you see the normal brain? It's highly connected. It's highly perfectly connected. Yeah, it is mind-boggling. Now look at that, the down box. It is not connected at all. Different things are happening. One side there is daydreaming, one side there is distraction, one side there is attention deficit, other side hyperactive. Everything is just like a bubbling pot on its own. So under such a circumstances, can you imagine if you want the child to process language, recall, retain, comprehend, sit quietly, complete notes? Very tough. Okay, very tough. Look at the box on the right. Okay, I want you to look at that very carefully and see which parts of the brain are activated when they experience aggression or fear or any kind of emotion, intense emotion. You know what happens? The neural mechanisms in the brain undergo a change. Okay, so you must understand this. You must understand this. It is not about punishing the child, it is not about threatening the child. You cannot do all that. You have to seek the correct treatment if your child has ADHD or any kind of a behavior problem. Whatever modification you do, it is not the correct approach. You might give a chocolate today and tell the child, sit quietly, I'll give you chocolate. Okay, can you do that every day? Can't do that every day. Sit quiet, I'll give you a phone. Can you do that every day? You can do it every day, you shouldn't do it every day. Or the child will throw a tantrum, so you quickly run and you give whatever settles the child. It's not going to go away like that. Okay, because there is something happening in the brain. You must understand that if when you and I know as adults, when we get upset, we lose our balance. Okay, and to bring it back to that calmness, you know how much effort it takes. So can you imagine in a child, okay, who is not aware and was trying to cope with all these issues? Okay, next slide. Okay, so in the consider bucket, we have gone through all these points. Can you see? We have gone through all these things. Behavior, out. Activity levels, excess, out. Academic performance, very, very poor, out. So we're not going to consider these kids too. Okay, fine. When we reach the actual choosing bucket, then you will become very clear who are these kids. Okay, next slide. So we are already now going to eliminate all these children. Can you see? All these kids who are, the behavior is the main issue, not LD. Activity level is the main issue, not LD. Only academics is an issue, not LD. Okay, so straight away we can say that all the troublesome kids are out, all the uncooperative kids are out, and all those who are very, very poor in academics are out. Fine, so that again cuts off quite a lot of your class, isn't it? So now who are you left with? Let's see, turn. Fine, so we're done with eliminate, we're done with consider. Let's go to choose. So our kids with learning disabilities are not, they are not all these things. You can look at each of the circles. They are not lazy, they are not incapable, they are not dumb, they are not slow learners, they're not trying to get away with something, they are not looking for excuses. Okay, so when you look at your children, you will know at once who are the children who are fitting into these circles. in your classroom, at once you'll be able to put them now into these categories. As long as they are fitting into all these categories, they are not in our category. Okay. If you have any children who are coming into these circles, you can straight away say to yourself, okay, out. Okay, next slide. Okay, great. So now we have come to the actual uh, baseline. Who is this child with learning disabilities? First, we will see the right side, okay, the oval. You have to look for visible signs, like what? Like errors in their work. You have to look for inconsistencies. You know, sometimes there are lots of inconsistencies. They do very neat work, but it is incomplete. Their work is complete, but they don't respond. Or the work is complete, but the marks are poor. Or they may say the answer, they don't want to write it. Or they may want to write it, they will not want to say it. These are very, very valuable inconsistencies. You have to make a note. Every time you get an inconsistency, you must write it down and say, wanted to do this, refused to do that. Did this happily, was not happy to do that. As you start making these notes, you'll come to understand, oh my goodness, so many inconsistencies. Almost, such a puzzling picture. There will be an uneven performance, like failing in some subjects and passing in others. Then the parents will say, she doesn't like this subject. She's weak in this subject. She never liked this subject. Or she doesn't like that teacher. That's why she's not doing well in that subject. Fine. However, dear parents, we want to assure you that these kind of inconsistencies and uneven performance goes beyond such small excuses. Okay, they go beyond things like bad teachers, bad schools, bad home environment, bad textbooks, bad very difficult test. No, it goes beyond that. When we see that regularly the child is passing in some, failing in the others, doing well in some and failing in the others, we know that this child is bright, yet there is some problem. Okay, you always have this question, what is wrong? What could it be? So nicely the child did the work yesterday. Now today nothing is happening. How can the child be maxing math paper and not being able to clear language papers? How can the child be doing so well in social studies and science and failing in math? Okay, these are the clues for you to zone in. There are also some behavioral issues. What could they be? Like task avoidance, distractibility, changing the topic, wasting time. Fine. Do not overlook these things. You have to make a note. You have a lesson plan. If you don't achieve your goals regularly, you have to make a note of it. You have to say that out of 3 tasks I had to do with the child, only 2 I could do, and this is happening every session. Yeah, these things you have to keep in your mind. Now look to the left. What are you going to see? You're going to see reading problem, which a lot of parents don't mind. They don't mind if their kids don't read, but we mind a lot. Okay, reading difficulties, spelling difficulty, comprehension problems. Comprehension is very, very tough to identify because it's a very subtle skill. And sometimes you ask a child a small little thing like, what did you do on the weekend? And the child will tell you something they did long back. And then you ask the parent, the child said that this happened, and the parent will say, oh, it didn't happen, it happened long back. Or you can ask a child something like, why? Why do you think this is like this? And the child will give you an irrelevant answer or change the topic. These are very subtle things. Uh, you have to make it a point to look at all these things. There will be difficulty with all the writing, whether it is grammar, whether it is handwriting, whether it is writing answers, answering tests. In all these areas, there will be some problem. And you might not see it at the oral level. There'll be some problem with math and there'll be some language related difficulties. Okay, next. Okay, I'm not going to do too much of theory. I told you. Okay, you can get theory from anywhere and everywhere. I'm going to actually show you some beautiful samples of kids, and I want you to Ask yourself, does my child fit in this category? Can I relate to this, what's happening at home, to this? Or is this the child in your class who was on your mind all the time, and now you think to yourself, oh yes, this is the exact problem I'm having. So that's what I want you to do. As I'm showing you these samples, I want you to connect who it could be who fits this picture perfectly. Fine. So the teacher says, what do you want? And the child says that. Then again we say, what is that? And the child will use the finger to point to the object or go to the object and take it instead of naming it. Fine. If you do not notice, you will think, oh, very clever. He knew what he wanted. Or you might say, where is the truck? Bring me the truck. And the child will go and bring the truck. You have not realized that the child has not named it. You need to realize that the child has not named it. The child has not asked any questions about it. The child has not placed that noun in a sentence. Okay. So using a lot of gestures is a warning sign. Supposing we say, what fruit do you like? The child might at once say, ah, ma'am, that red one, ma'am, very nice. Ma'am, sweet, no, ma'am, round. And you will just say, apple. Yes, ma'am, apple. Fine. Have you realized that the child could not retrieve the word? You need to do that. Otherwise, this issue will go on for years. Nobody will notice. And then one fine day, we'll have this a grand diagnosis of severe auditory dyslexia. And it's going to be very tough for the child from 9 years or 10 years to start, rectifying this. So this is some sharp points that you need to keep in mind. What are the other difficulties? That the child is not speaking in full sentences. Sometimes we are quite happy when they just chat with us in phrases. Ma'am, I went, it was very nice. I went like this, I did like that. But the child has not spoken one single full sentence. Okay, unable to recall sequences, like poems. The child does not like learning poems, does not recall it, fine. Unable to hold a conversation. However small you are, yes, however small you are, you should be able to hold a conversation. Children love to talk. From the age of 2 years, they can have elaborate conversations. They play with their toys, make believe situations, or they come home and they want to tell you all about play school and they can't stop talking. Yeah, you have to make sure that your child can hold a conversation by the age of 2 to 3 years. We're talking 2 to 3 years. What are the other difficulties? Difficulty summarizing and inferring. Okay, so in older kids, it's very hard to make out if there's a language issue because they speak. Yeah, normally they're playing with their friends, they're chatting with you. But when you ask them, read this paragraph. Now tell me what you remember. There you will find the difficulty. There you will find they're not able to summarize. Or if you ask them, can you tell me why all this happened? Can you tell me 3 points why this happened? Can you tell me how all this happened? They won't be able to do it. At that point, you have to. That's why we say a language problem in the young years is going to affect the child very badly in the middle school level. Not when they are young. When they are young, they get away. Everybody is just so happy, to be in the presence of children. But when they are older, all their writing work comes only from their language abilities. Okay, next slide. Child will have some reading problems. Okay, look at the green oval. They seem to be different from kids who read slowly. There is a difference. Kids who read slowly are different. They will read everything slowly. They will read all the new books slowly. They have that tendency to read, but to read slowly. Now you know which bucket they will come into, right? They will come into slow learners. Yeah. Then there are kids who read very familiar material well. When you ask them, will you read for me? If it is something that they have read before, their books, they are very confident. As soon as you start pulling a new book, they start getting bothered. They start getting tense. And straight away they say, teacher, I don't know.
Join हो गई मैं तो हाँ.
Okay. and they say things like,
उसी वेबिनार टाइप करके
somebody please mute.
काम कर रहा है क्या?
वही आ रही है रीडिंग डिफिकल्टी जो अपूर्वा का था ना.
Can you please?
Okay, who is that who is not muted?
अच्छा.
Please check, all of you. Yeah, thank you. Fine. So there are children who read very slowly all the time. We are not dealing with those kids. There are children who read very familiar material well, and they can read after practice. These kids too, we are not bothered about. Okay, because they are coming into a slow learner or borderline or average person. That means they don't make too many errors. They read slowly, they need some practice, they need some introduction, some familiar words to be told to them. Once you do that, they are fine. Okay, that is the way to identify. Now look on the left. Problem pronouncing new words and remembering them every time. Every time you give them a new word, they can't do it. They can't remember. Within 2 lines, again, if that word comes up, again it's an error. Double blending sounds. They say reading is easier for their classmates. What things? They are aware. They know that other children read faster. They start falling way behind their classmates. That is how it starts happening. First, the reading starts slipping back. Then they can't figure out unknown words. Then they stop reading. They resist reading a lot. Then they start saying, I don't want to read. I will not read. I will write. I know. I will study. I will not read. Fine. So here we have reading difficulties. Next. So such children will make all these very typical errors. See the green oval? Regular kids either read or say they don't know the new word. Okay. This is the approach. Generally, the child will read smoothly, or they'll say, this is my new word, Mama. Can you tell me? Okay. And they will proceed with the reading. But here there are regular errors. There are errors of substitution. There are errors of additional. They read like phonetically, where it's a silent letter, they'll add the sound, or the errors are repeated straight away. Then there are other errors, no punctuation, can't recall what the story was, they lose their place while reading. These are very typical errors which no other children make. That's the easy part about identifying kids with learning problems, actually, because other children won't make these problems. A slow learner will not make these problems. Okay, a child with behavior problems will not make these problems, errors. So, reading errors typical of learning disabilities are such like this. This is how we know. At one glance, we know the child is fitting into this bracket. Next slide. Okay, I have some samples for you, which I thought you might find interesting. Okay, better than me telling you the theory, I would like you to see actually what happens with kids. So the first one was a 12-year-old boy. The correct words are down. Can you see? So custom, future, garage, germination, bread, warrior. If you take a closer look, you will notice that the sounds are all there, the syllables are all there, almost everything is there. But when it comes to an irregular word, error. When it comes to a silent letter, error. When it comes to a vowel, error. Okay, these are typical of a child with learning problems. Look on the right. This was a 10-year-old boy. The third word is weak. So cutely he has spelled it, no? V. And the seventh word is sooner. Again, very cutely he has spelled it with a U. Then 10th word has a silent letter might. So he spelled it phonetically. Sight. Where is sight? 10th word. 13th word might. If you look at it closely, you will again understand that wherever the word is inconsistent, wherever the spelling is inconsistent, the child is lost. Doesn't know how to remember the spelling. Next slide. Here's a 12-year-old boy. Very beautiful spelling, really. At first glance, you might think he's written nonsense. You might think, oh my goodness, he's just put all vowels all over the place, double E, everywhere. But look very closely. So beautifully has spelled it. See, headache, he has spelled it without that silent E. Yeah, see, final. Final. Huh? Perfect. Slippery. So nicely spelled it. Slippery. Then lodge. Then style. Copies. Guest. I've done an error analysis on the side. Just look at it. So for headache, what has happened? See, as a teacher, you cannot simply mark everything wrong. If you mark everything wrong, you will be missing out on the beauty of the child's intelligence. You will be missing out on the beauty of the child's creativity. Look at this. All the words have got, if you read it by sound, you will know what the word is. Okay, if you read it by sound, you'll know. But what is the issue? Look on the right. That silent E in headache, he has left it out. For final, he has just broken it up very cutely into final. Final. Slippery, 3 syllables are all there. Slippery. He's got it. Lodge, that was a difficult word. There were some silent letters. Style, the same thing. That Y is an issue. He's written all the sounds. And copies, again. He's got the spelling, but if you see that I is in the wrong position. So he can recall the letters in his mind, but while writing, the order goes wrong. This is a really fascinating, these kids, I tell you. Okay, so this is how they are trying to cope with in their brains. Okay, next. So typically, parents and teachers, I'd like you to remember that there will be phonic spelling, there will be all these things, omission of a letter, difficulty with words with silent letters. But I want you to come down to the basic thing that there will be a pattern of errors. Every time we cannot say, child didn't study for the test, there was no time, it was a surprise test, or he doesn't like to write, but he can say, or this year only it's very difficult. All these years you would know. Okay? These are errors that we know have been there. It's just that it is showing much more now because every year the writing work will increase. So you need to find out what is this pattern. Once you get into that aspect, it's very interesting. You know, you will see that it's either a visual pattern or an auditory pattern. Okay, wonderful, these kids are. Next slide. Okay, so here are some samples again. We look at the sample first. It's so cute. So Snap is my cat. He is black. He likes to play with me. Okay. There are some spelling errors. There is no punctuation. The writing is an issue. So let us see what is not. So when a child has poor memory, it is not an issue. It is not a child with LD. If the child is overall weak in writing, again, we don't want to consider such children. If the child is failing in all the subjects, again, we don't want such children. If there is overall slow pace, we are going to remove the children. If there is low understanding which is affecting the writing, again, not a child with LD. Look on the left. We are going to search for these errors. Okay, handwriting, yeah, maybe, may not be. Grammatical errors. Even though the child speaks very well, you might find grammatical errors. Spelling errors. Child has written beautifully, but full of spelling errors. Sentence construction problem. Even though the child is a big child. Poor ability to organize. If you change the question a bit, if you give a long lesson, find the answer, very, very tough. Often good at oral language. Okay, so these children usually speak very well. They chat very well. They are so interesting. But when you open their notebooks, you'll get such a shock. Okay, next. Look at this lovely sample. So beautifully as written. Okay. It is very nice to meet you, Santa. I carried my gift and never forgot. Then Santa went back home. I went to the magic door. I was home. I told everyone that I saw a magic door and it was snowing. Christmas trees. They said, wow, good. Then they said, Kevin, was it your dream? No, it was a secret door. Yeah, a secret. And that's what I saw. I enjoyed maybe drinking tea with my family. I wish I could go again through the secret door. So beautiful, so brilliant, so creative, so you could just imagine this whole little story. I bet if we had to write a story, we would never have written this story. Okay, that's how cute it is. Look at the oval on the right. Good ideas, interesting. However, they may go off the point a bit, and they may lose sequence also. Okay, next slide. Also there will be a problem with math. Okay, so sometimes they may not have a problem in math, they may have a problem with all the other areas. Sometimes they might not have a problem in the other areas and only in math. What kind of difficulty? Will it be just poor marks? Will it be, needing more time? Will it be finding everything difficult? No, it won't. It will be things like understanding if the number is 6 or 9. It will be things like understanding, is it 12 or 21? And looking at that sign and saying, is it addition sign? Oh no, I think it's multiplication sign. Oh no, teacher, I thought it was addition sign. Like that, their issues are. An entire sum can go wrong if midway you just lose one digit or one computation. See, there's difficulty following multiple steps. So first of all, I have a problem understanding if it's 6 or 9. Then I have a problem, should I add, should I multiply? Then I have a problem, I have to write the numbers in rows, I have to write in columns. Then I have to operate from left, then I have to go right. Yeah, very, very tough. On top of that, there may be word problems, math language, in which they might have so many kinds of terms. Then there is all these geometric things that they have to place in their mind. You know, the spatial orientation is so important in math. There'll be a great difficulty with algebra because it's highly abstract. If x is equal to this, if x is 9, if this is n. So they don't know, they can't even handle x in English, 9, n in English, and here we are giving them equations. Mental math skills are low. Difficulty to juggle numbers then and there. Next. Next slide. Look at that. Look at that. This is a typical child with learning problems. Okay, so at first glance, you will get very tired. Oh, what is this? Where do I start? And then, this is how the child's mind is actually, so many things are happening and they're not able to do it mentally, and they're not, and when you a paper, they need to do it in a very different they may lose where they've done, what they've done. So math could be an issue for the child. Yeah, please mute. Who's that was not muted? Excuse me. Excuse me, somebody is unmuted. Thank you.
I muted everyone.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Fine. So when you see a math page that's just like, I don't want to say messy, but I would just say that it's disorganized. If you see this kind of a disorganized layout, at once you have to ask yourself, how is the child processing math in the mind? Is the mind also getting disorganized when faced with so many numbers? So you must check all these things. Sometimes they may be brilliant in everything, but math may be a hidden issue. Okay, so check also math. Next, please. Okay, lovely. So here we have a brain scan that shows you how in a typical reader, so many areas get activated. But in a dyslexic reader, the child is coping with very little activation. Okay, so it is so much easier for a child without dyslexia to read, to process sounds, to blend sounds, to break up words, to remember, to recall and see. But a dyslexic child already has a limitation and the child is trying to cope with that limitation. Okay, very, very important to know that this is what is happening in the brain areas. Next. Okay, so now we are going to come down to the whole thing and let's just see if our heads are clear on all that we went through. Therefore, a learning disability is a neurological disorder. Therefore, it results from differences in the way the person's brain is wired. Therefore, children with learning problems are as smart or smarter than their peers. But there are some problems. Only in reading, writing, spelling, reasoning, recalling, organizational information. You might say, listen, this is everything. No, it is not. It is not. The person has excellent social skills. The person is very affectionate. The person is brilliant in sports. The person is brilliant in music. The person is a wonderful artist. The person is up to date, high tech, gadgets, everything. Nothing wrong with the person. Okay. But when you make them do academics, when you make them handle reading, spelling, writing, then you will see that the wiring is a bit different and we need to work with them to help them understand how to work it out. Next. Therefore, what is a learning disability? A condition giving rise to difficulties in acquiring knowledge and skills to the level expected of those of the same age, especially when there is no physical handicap. At the end of the day, dear parents and teachers, we are comparing children of the same age. Okay? We cannot help it. That is the best way to understand which are the children who are not falling within the norms. So we have to compare all the 9-year-olds together. We have to compare all the 10-year-olds together. You might say, oh, this is just a 6 months difference. This is a 10-month difference. It makes a world of difference. That might be the factor that helps or hinders the child. The child is too young in the class. Some certain processes are not mature enough. Okay? For instance, a language development might be slower in certain children at a certain age. And in most children, after a certain point, if you pass the critical period of learning, after that, if you try to teach them certain skills, it's very tough. It's doubly tough. That's why we say, please do not delay. Please do not excuse away anything. Check it out. Check it out. Be brave. Accept it. There is so much of help. Everything is possible. Be hopeful. Okay, next. Okay, so let's put this in some formal language. Learning disabilities is a neurological disorder, affects the brain's ability to receive, process, store, and respond to information. It is a term that is used to describe unexpected difficulty in a person of average intelligence. That means looking at this person, I won't expect. Looking at you and me, can you make out what difficulty I have? I cannot make out what difficulty you have. But you know very well how you are math. You know, who's that? Can you please mute?
Go to his room.
Excuse me, somebody. Okay. It is unexpected. Okay, so therefore, for somebody who's so clever, this child is so clever, but why is the child not able to do writing? Why is the child not able to remember spellings? Yeah. These skills are essential. I'm sorry to say, at the end of the day, it is essential for success at school and work. Okay. Perhaps in olden days or in a different part of the world or in a different society, if you had a trade that you could go follow, your family trade, you might not need education. Okay. But today, we know that everything is boiling down to education. Hence, it is essential. It is not a single disorder. It's a group of disorders. Okay. Therefore, if I have a problem in spelling, it is only a matter of time before we find out that the problem is actually spilling into writing, and the problem was actually there in language. Okay. The main identifying features are this gap. There is a gap between the achievement of what is, what is expected and what is actually happening. So I feel that the child can really grasp the concept that I taught. It's a very simple concept. But then I'm shocked to know that the child did not absorb anything of it. Could tell me only one point. That will be your reaction. Why is there a gap? I'm quite sure that a child can do well. The child seems to have the potential, but it's not showing. Okay. So there you can see in brackets, potential and performance. If there is a gap, if you think your child is really smart, but it's not showing in the marks, you need to explore this area. And there will be some secondary issues, especially as the child grows, okay, with social emotional skills and behavior. It's much better to tell the child, listen, dear, you find it difficult to do this. So you need to spend more time. Okay. So don't think about others. I know they are playing, but let's do our work. You'll feel nice when you do well. Once the child begins to understand, this is the way I study better. And once they begin to accept the way they need to study, it's going to be much easier. Okay. Next. Lovely. So now you know who are the children to eliminate. You know who are the children you should consider, but out of that considering bucket, you know finally who are the kids who you will finally choose for this category. Okay, lovely. Next. You've done quite a lot. Yeah, so you went through the choose. This was where we ended. You need to find the errors. You need to say, yes, this child has a lot of inconsistencies. You need to agree with this. Yeah, very, very bright, but I don't know what's happening. Uneven. Child was doing so well. I'm so disappointed. Again, the child has become. And 5, the last point, all kinds of, problems that are spoiling the balance, so to say. Gets distracted, doesn't want to do, throws tantrums, wastes a lot of time, argues. If I do this, will you let me do that? If I do that, and the parents, please don't be scared of your children. Please, you don't have to say, okay, you do this, then I'll do that. Oh, okay, I'll give you this. If you... No, please separate all these issues. Okay, academics is academics, TV is TV. Okay, pizza is pizza. Nothing is connected. This is an issue on its own. You need to do this. Your teacher is going to ask for it. Have you finished it? When are you going to finish it? Set the time. Have you done? Things like that. So parents, you also need to become a little bit more tougher. You need to be a parent, not try to negotiate all the time with the kids. Yeah. Next. At a theoretical level, learning disabilities are disorders that affect the ability to understand or use spoken or written language, do math, coordinate movements, direct attention. Although they occur in very young children, the disorders are usually not recognized till they go to school. We have some very alert parents. By 2 years, by play school age, they know something is wrong. Usually they would have had another child before, and they say, see, my first child was not like this. So I know at once that is the problem. Or they might say, listen, I've seen so many kids, same age, and I know something is there, which is not okay with my child. Some lovely parents are there like that. Very early they come, and in no time we set the kids right. And very sadly, there are some parents who will struggle to buy time, who will tell you, see, it took me time to accept. I had to prove to myself that the child really cannot cope. In that time, how much time has been lost? Years. Okay. It's not okay to keep your child without reading skills and spelling skills at 8 years and 9 years. It's not okay. By kindergarten, if your child is not reading, wake up. Research shows that 8 to 10% of American children under 18 years have some kind of LD. In India, it is 11 to 13%, okay, of children in classrooms, not just everybody. We are considering only children who are being educated and in school, okay. Next. Everybody wants to know what to do. This webinar is about understanding who the kids are, not what to do. Next webinar we'll do on what to do, okay. However, I don't want to leave you with this big question mark. Let me soothe you a bit and tell you that special educators will do an evaluation on the child, assess the child, see how much the child can do. Once this is complete, we will start some basic approach on establishing some learning skills. How do we do this? We'll see what your child knows and we'll build on that. And whatever child doesn't know, we'll start working on it. Then, if your child has some language problem, speech problem, maybe some weak skills, the child might need occupational therapy, speech therapy, we will refer. If a child is having a lot of attention problem or hyperactivity, we might refer you to a doctor who will there again on a long-term basis treat your child with medication. If your child is very, very upset, the emotional factor is really coming in the way, we might suggest some therapy for your child. Next. What will happen? What will happen? Ma'am, will my child be okay in 3 months? Ma'am, will my child be okay by the time of final exams? No. Learning disabilities is a lifelong condition. We never say that. We never say that. It is going to be there for life because I showed you the brain. I showed you the neurological impairment. I showed you the effect of that. In some people, several overlapping learning disabilities may be apparent. In others, they might have a single problem. It has little impact on their lives. Okay. So supposing you have a spelling problem and you shift to computers, nobody will know. You'll be fine. Supposing you have a handwriting problem, you start using computers, fine, no problem. Supposing you have a language communication problem, move to computers, no problem. Choose a quiet job, choose a quiet work, lovely. Okay. Supposing you can't do written work and you have good oral language skills, move into the area of communication where you can use your interpersonal skills. So in that way, it might impact you, it might not. It's all up to you and the parent to choose correctly the future for the child. Next. Okay, so we are back to where we began. Remember all those samples I showed you and all those buckets I showed you. I hope now you can relate to all these points. Okay, it is better to end with these points than to begin with the points. So now I'm sure you understand that the children read slowly, they have a problem understanding what is read, they have difficulty picking out the main point. When words look similar, they get confused, spelling errors in the form of reversals, very poor handwriting, slow writing, difficulty with forming sentences, difficulty with reasoning, inferring, problem with math. Yeah, so these are roughly the children that we want to bring to your notice. Will any type of brain scan help in identifying? The brain scans are possible, but they are currently being done only for research purposes, only abroad in some hi-fi setups. Okay. In any case, we do not need a scan to know if your child has a learning problem. So you will have to believe us. Yeah, if you want to know more, you can. Next slide. Yeah, if you want to, there are some loads of checklists here. Okay, so if you pick up a copy of this book, I have told everybody, you'll clear off these books. I'll write a new one. So please pick up a copy of this book. It's loaded with checklists to your heart's content. You can check thoroughly. Is my child falling into this category? Is the children in my classroom falling into this category? Okay, all possible checklists are there. I did not put the checklist on because I'm not doing a theoretical presentation. How to get the book from Vrindavan? Jayashree will connect you. You can connect with her and she will tell you how to get the book. It's all there. Next slide. No, unfortunately, not yet online version. We want to update it and bring out a better version. So that's why we said, clear the slot and we'll work on a better one. Okay, so people, these are all the points you have gone through. Okay, it looks like a very, very big mind map, but actually you are, as of now, fully conversant with all these points. This is exactly what I covered, and this is what you know. So just look at it again. Is there another slide? No, there you are. You don't need another slide. Now you know everything. Okay. So thank you so much for being very, very patient and listening in. And I hope you got a kind of a new perspective, and I hope you understood. I hope, the way I spoke was you could relate to it. And no, the book is not available in Amazon. I think it is available through Brindavan. They will tell you how best they can reach it out to you. Okay.
If they message me, I can.
So if you message Jayashree, she will send you a copy or tell you how to pick up a copy.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So what would you